welcome to Scrollin', a podcast about the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm Ket.
I'm Davius.
This is episode number 58.
I got a death match, the rare hidden death match.
Dude, how was it? Tell me about it.
It was pretty great, actually. It was on Old Lord of Nords, finished 10-2.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
It's crazy how everything clicks into place on a deathmatch. Like, there's no stress.
Yeah.
There's no worry about people being mad about objectives, or that moment where you're like, well, should I do objectives or should I not? Or is my team's running all over the map because this guy's doing objectives, this guy's looking for a fight, this guy's a sork streaking who knows where. So
there's always that moment these days whenever you're in a deathmatch. After a few minutes, you're just like, oh wait, I can just go kill the enemy. It's just that easy.
And teams stick together on deathmatches. Like, usually, I mean, the last couple of deathmatches, it's a little bit higher MMR for sure, but it's so much better team play. The team's sticking together. They get what's going on. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We were the winning team, so that helps. But
it's so rare to get a deathmatch period. And then, even back when we could queue for deathmatch as much as we wanted, how rare was it to actually get a good game, though? Like a good balanced match where everyone was like, the scores are really close to each other. Like, even when we could play deathmatch as much as we want, those matches were pretty rare.
I don't even care about those matches. I just want a deathmatch at this point. Yeah,
just any deathmatch is fine. But when you do get one, though, it's like even more rare that it'll be a good one, like.
It's wild. I'm curious if you feel this too. It's wild to me how much better my characters work in a deathmatch. Like,
yeah, because that's what they're made for.
Yeah, I mean, we play deathmatch, usually every match, but when it's an actual deathmatch, man, I think that's what I'm talking about when all the pieces fit into place, because it's just, man, the characters, there's just play so much better. I don't know if it's just...
Well, your sustain's probably a lot better because you're not like running from point to point just trying to find the action and stuff like that.
Point. That's a great point. That's huge for Lord of Nords, is that he needs to be in the fight constantly.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
I miss it. Is this going to be the new... Wasn't there something that we were talking about? It was back before it was the group queue.
Group BGs.
It was like every episode we had to have a lament about group BGs. And now this is the new that. Like, you can't queue for deathmatch. So this is the new thing that we lament every episode. At this point, I'd settle for just a developer comment saying, like, hey, that's not happening. Like, just so we can shut up about it.
You make a great point about the sustain of how well, our character's designed for deathmatch. I hadn't really thought about it until you said it, but, I did a death match. It went great. Like I said, I was like 10-2 with like 11 assists or something like that. And then the next one was Capture the Relic, and that one didn't go great. I think I was like 7-7. But you make a great point. I was sprinting halfway across the map, and by the time I got in a fight, I had no stamina.
My main dude that I've been playing has still been Bobby Bobango, my bow crow. He's been on a very expensive journey.
Ooh.
I've spent probably, I would say at least 600,000 gold I've spent on this guy, just like trying different setups. I know. Remember I said I sold all those gold rings.
That's a whole bank for old Davius.
I sold all those gold rings from Mid-Year Mayhem, so I can afford to.
Okay.
Anyway.
You're a little daddy Warbucks right now. Sure.
For now. It won't last long because I don't do my writs. But I've just been trying all these different setups out, just trying to figure out like which one works the best, and they all work pretty good. They all have their kind of pros and cons and stuff. Last episode I was talking about the setup I was using was Heartland Conqueror and Spriggan on the front bar with Potentates on the back bar, and Malakath and One Piece Monster set. I still wholeheartedly recommend that build for anyone who's looking for just a good, solid, well-rounded bow build. That works really, really well. But I have since moved on to a different setup just because that one was not getting the kill counts that I wanted. Like, it would always be in the positive. Like, his survivability was very, very good, and he played well, but like a typical match for him would be like maybe 6-1, or something like that, which is good. but not, like I have other characters that it's like guaranteed double digits every time, and that's kind of where I want him to be.
Sure.
I tried a bunch of different stuff. What I've ended up, I think, settling on, and what he's probably going to be locked in on, is basically a variation of his old proc setup. So during the proc meta, he was using Sheer Venom, Poisonous Serpent, and the Black Rose Prison Bow. Just 3 procs, and he still had Potentates on the back bar. I've gone back to a variation of that, so it's 5 pieces Sheer Venom, 5 pieces Poisonous Serpent, but I've gotten rid of the Black Rose Prison Bow, and I've made Poisonous Serpent a front bar only set. And then I still have the Malakath and One Piece monster set, just to kind of fill out the slots there. I think that's the way to go. I think the 2 procs with Malakath feels really, really good. I definitely get way more kills. I would say on average, probably twice as many kills that I get with the Heartland setup. And you and I tested this out a little bit. I think you can kind of back me up here.
Yeah, we tested this one out, at the old guild hall.
Yep. It exists
in some duels, and it was just so much more pressure from this semi proc. Having the proc sets on, there was a lot more constant pressure. Maybe a little less burst, but constant pressure.
That's exactly it. It's that constant pressure, like the Heartland setup with Spriggan. It's like just a bunch of penetration, and it's really I'm just relying on my skills for damage. And when my burst lines up, like when Blast Bones and everything else lines up and hits them at that moment, it is a lot of burst. But if it doesn't kill them, they have quite a bit of opportunity to recover because I'm not really applying all that much pressure in between those moments of burst. So I was having trouble finishing people off. Whereas with Sheer Venom and Poisonous Serpent, Sheer Venom is just a dot that's constantly ticking away on them. And Poisonous Serpent, basically every other light attack weave is hitting them with a pretty good amount of burst as well, on top of my glyph firing on my infused bow. So those moments of burst they're not as bursty without all that penetration, but it's still a decent amount of burst. And then in between, I'm keeping up the pressure, and I'm having better success actually burning them down and finishing the kills. Like having more sources of damage is helping me out quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've basically been maining this dude for probably like a straight month now. He's been the main guy I've been playing with. It's a lot of fun. I have a good sense of what his weaknesses are, I think, at this point, which I think he more or less suffers from the same weaknesses that a Magblade suffers from. And I think that might just be bow builds in general. For me, the main thing that I struggle with on my Magblade and with this dude is the fact that almost all of your attacks are long-range, single-target projectiles. And that's just a very easy type of attack to counter. I mean, there's multiple abilities that just straight up negate them, where you can't even hit the enemy at all, like Shimmering Shield or Ball of Lightning, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But also, like, everyone's a roly-poly now, right? Ever since Flames of Ambition, everyone just has a massive stamina bar. Everyone's just constantly roll dodging. Like, I have to spam Poison Injection 3 or 4 times, oftentimes, just to get it to land at all. And then it's time to cast Magnum Shot, and I have to cast it 3 or 4 times just to get it to land at all. So that's the biggest challenge that I've had with this guy.
Yeah, and you got to get all those to land for the build to work right.
Yeah, well, Poison Injection has to, because my 2 5-piece bonuses rely on it. They're just dead if Poison Injection isn't on them. Mm-hmm. So I have to make sure that gets on them. And I was just telling you about this, I think just last night. He has like 3,000 stamina recovery, like an insane amount of stamina recovery. But I feel like I'm just constantly out of stamina. And I think that's the reason why. I'm constantly spamming abilities over and over and over just to get them to land once. That's been the challenge.
And chasing relics, no.
Yeah, and chasing relics. That's been the challenge, but I think that's just kind of inherent to bow builds, really. I still think he's been a lot of fun, and in general, he's doing really well. He gets way more kills than deaths. He's kind of my solo queue guy, because he's just very self-sufficient. But we found out that he makes a really unlikely good pairing with your StamDK, Lord of Nords. We paired them up the other night, and that actually went way better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, we had a little yin and yang thing going with old Lord of Nords. It was kind of, we had him at range, and then we kind of worked out both ways, that you'd kind of burn him down and then he'd leap, finish him off, or if maybe I got a hold of him, then you could finish him off. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it was surprising because I think we normally try to pair up like, oh, you're playing with a range build, let me get with one of my range builds, or you're playing melee, okay, let me grab a melee. But yeah, this time you're like straight up a brawler. I'm fully ranged. And it worked really well. I was like giving like suppressive fire, and then your dude's like really tanky, so you can take kind of a beating, so you'll get up in their face and lay into them as well, and it just worked really well.
It's worked well. Old Lord of Nords, I really have to thank you for his big changes. You finally, I've made some changes. Let me start with that. You finally broke through my stubbornness, and it took a while.
I know.
Don't you know? So just a reminder of his build. It's a 5-piece Champion of the Hiss, 2-piece Bloodspawn, 1-piece Trainee, the Malakath Band of Brutality, and then I do front bar Potentates with the Potentates necklace, and then a back bar for Adishran 2-handed. And so, and he's always been an ult, all in on ult. So both my weapons had the decisive trait, which was a lot of ult. He leaped a lot. But you finally convinced me, because, I've been complaining for a while now that he's not hitting hard enough. You finally convinced me to drop the decisive trait, switch it to sharpened, and man, has it made a difference. He is hitting much, much, much harder now.
Yeah.
He's got really great stats, and that sharpened has worked really well. I was running a sword and a mace potentates as well, and I switched that to 2 maces for even more penetration, and it has made a huge difference for him.
And you still have like excellent ultimate regeneration.
He's still the old Lord of Leaping he's always been. He's leaping all over the place.
You're a Nord, Champion of the Hist, Bloodspawn.
Yep.
That alone is a lot of ult.
It's a whole lot of ult.
Oh, and potentates.
Yeah, and the potentates to reduce the ult cost. It's just crazy how much more damage he's dealing with sharpen over decisive. I'm happy that you broke through my stubbornness on that, because penetration is such a big deal. And really, kind of like you with Bobby, this has kind of been, as I've said, Lord Nords has kind of become my favorite character. He's kind of become my main. And so I've really just been playing and kind of learning the character better and playing with just him mainly in Battlegrounds, and you kind of get more comfortable with the build and more comfortable with the character, more comfortable with the rotation. And so it's allowed me to kind of make these changes and tweaks. You talked me into another one on switching his leap to the one that gives a damage shield after the leap instead of the lower costing one.
Yeah,
that was another toughie of me to change, and we just made that change recently, and I wasn't fully sure on it, but then I did some solo queue Battlegrounds, and it made. I'm sold on it. It's
the good outweighs the bad so much. In no CP, I mean, we only do Battlegrounds pretty much, so we're always just in a no CP situation. And when you take CP out of the equation, the damage difference between Take Flight and the Magicamorph, I forget the name, it's like 1,000 difference. Yeah. It's like 18,000 or 19,000. Depending, in that ballpark for me anyway.
Right. But we're talking a crazy damage shield. And I think it was good, when I really saw it shine was when I was in the solo queue, because a lot of the times when me and you group up, you're saving my butt with heals. And so when I'm leaping in and just getting hammered as I leap into a crazy fight, you're usually saving my butt with heals. And so in the solo queue, I think that was really where it sank in that when I don't have your heals to save my butt, I was like, oh yeah, I need that damage shield. That makes a huge difference for survivability. He still hits hard. It's just, he's working really well. It's kind of wild, he's slowly morphing away from just all in on this ultimate to kind of, like we said, he's a Nord, he's got Bloodspawn, he's got Potentates, he still has the Champion of the Hiss, but I'm kind of shifting away from that to kind of this better all-around build. I've talked with you for a while now that the next change, I might be dropping the Champion of the Hiss 5-piece for maybe something that can continue to make me hit a little bit harder. But I've had struggles dropping that one, not even really because
You've had that a long time on this guy.
Well, it's not even really the minor heroism that's so great about it. It's just the amazing stats that set gives.
It does give great
it's
stats.
It's so much stats that the minor heroism part is just kind of a nice little bonus to it. I tried out Bone Pirate. I threw Bone Pirate on there just to kind of see if that would affect the weapon damage and anything. And it took away so much, which is crazy because Bone Pirate gives a crazy amount of stats. It took away so much stats that it really kind of evened out on weapon damage. It was a little, more sustained, but I actually lost a whole bunch of health.
Effective weapon damage once you factor in like how much stat points you're losing and all that.
Yeah. I think that because right now he's got with food, he's got like 31,000 health, 31,000 stamina, and 20,000 magicka. And he uses quite a bit of magicka abilities. And
I think that ended up being a pretty big factor for you, actually, that magicka, when we were talking about it before. Because, you rely on magicka quite a bit.
Yeah, I still use the Race Against Time, which is a little weird on a StamDK, but I love it. It's nice to... it works out really well for him. It's a good ability. And he's got the magicka to do it. And then there, the armor buff. I use the wings, and then...
wings are expensive.
Fossilize. Really, all
Fossilize is very expensive.
Yeah, all DK abilities are expensive. Well, at least the magicka ones. The stamina ones actually get pretty cheap, but those magicka ones are a little pricey.
It can be.
I think it's going to be really hard for me to go away from Champion of the Hist just because the stats are so fantastic.
Well, it has that stealth 5-piece, right? The extra, does it give you extra health? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so the 5-piece of it, let me look up the exact number because I'm probably going to misquote it, but... so it's got a great 2 through 4. It's two max stamina lines and then a weapon damage line. But then the 5, like you're saying, the stealth 5-piece it adds 1,600 max health.
1,600 is a lot.
That's an insane amount of max health.
Yeah.
And so I think I've always planned on, this would be the next thing to do is get rid of this to get a little bit more damage, but I think I've just secretly underestimated about how much max stats that set gives. And I think it's a little bit better than what I'm giving it credit for. You look at it that way, like the heroism is just kind of a little cherry on top, really. The heroism is just kind of nice. That 1,600 health is by far the best part about that set.
That's more than more than the amount of health that trainee gives you.
Yep, trainee gives like 1,400 something. So
his
max stats are great. I think that's why I'll probably stick with Champion of the Hist, just because his max stats are in such a great place. I would, if there was any changes I could make, I'd like to get his weapon damage up a little bit higher and maybe his sustain a little bit higher, but we can't have everything.
Right.
And like I said, he's playing really well right now, and I say I want him to hit harder, but he's getting kills. I think I feel really good about him until I run with Sally and I see your StamDK and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong here?
Sally, I wouldn't say Sally is as well-rounded as Lord of Norwich. She's a little more kind of balls to the wall.
Always has been. She always has been.
She always has been, although less so now than she had been before. She's still the exact same build that she was the last time we talked. 5 Bone Pirate, 2 Bloodspawn, 2 Trainee, Malakath, the Master's the Maelstrom 2-hander, and the Master's Dual Wield. Man, it just feels so perfect. Like I can't, I play with this build over and over again. She has everything. I can't think of anything that I would change whatsoever.
It's crazy to me to watch this build because let's be honest, it's a pretty simple setup. I mean, you got Bone Pirate on there, you got Bloodspawn, and she is still murdering like we're in the proc meta. I mean, she's just slaughtering.
She has those 2 procs, the Maelstrom 2-hander and the Master Dual Wield, and then Malakath, juicing those up. And then Bone Pirate gives such good stats, I'm able to stack a fairly good amount of weapon damage as well. So it's a pretty decent amount of damage. It's not like the absurd amount of damage that she had in the previous proc meta, but that actually kind of makes me like the build even more because I have to play smart. I have to pick my targets wisely and, disengage when I need to and really think about how I play. But when I do that, man, she's my best performing character right now. Like she frequently gets among the best kill counts on the map. I would say like almost pretty much every match I've done. And I still think of her as a glass cannon. I mean, Bone Pirate, that's a medium armor set. I can't remember. I think she's 7 medium. But that Bloodspawn helps the tankiness quite a bit. Having all the magicka that we have these days, I'm able to use the flappy wings now, which helps her a ton.
Yeah.
Just dealing with ranged enemies, and that also gives her a source of snare removal. I don't have to get that elsewhere, so that's really nice. Fully speed capped. It's a dual wield 2-hander build, so she's just straight up a brawler. She's mean, man. It's a mean build. On the gold vendor this past weekend, they had some Blood Drinker rings, and I went ahead and bought a couple of those because that just seeing them on there made me think maybe I should try that set on this build in place of Bone Pirate. I have a suspicion I'll go back to Bone Pirate just because it feels so good.
I can't think of a set that's better named for Sally than Blood Drinker.
I know. The name alone makes me want to do it. Blood Drinker just boosts bleed damage by 20%, and a lot of her damage is bleed damage. I think it would be a lot of damage, but what's nice about Bone Pirate is it gives all those good stats. It gives so much sustain that it enables me to have that kind of like really aggressive, really pedal to the metal kind of play style, like never ever let up. And I always have a little gas in the tank, to do what I need to do. I really like that. Blood Drinker would be more damage, so maybe I'll kill people faster, so I won't need that extra gas. I think I want to at least try it. It's a dungeon set, so I'll have to farm for it. But
we can do that. We can do some dungeon runs.
Yeah. What other you've been playing with Bearclaw lately, right?
Oh, Bearclaw the Nord, my Stamina Warden, point blank snipe build. He's the goofiest build out there, but he
goofy yet effective.
Goofy yet effective, which is it's the Davius way. I've been tinkering with him just because this has been it's been such a fun build to play. But it's also been fun because this has been the build that people have reached out to me the most they're like, hey, I'm gonna give a shot at this, or I'm gonna give this a try, which is just awesome to see. We've talked about this. My dream is just to go into a battleground and everybody's just running around point blank sniping each other. Just that would be the dream.
Melee snipe.
Just melee snipe for everyone in the battleground. But the old setup that I was running with him was 5-piece Fury and 2-piece Baylor, obviously with the front bar Vatashram bow and the back bar Master Bow. Well, I've kind of changed that a little bit. You'll be a fan of this one. So I switched to 5-piece Heartland and then 2-piece Chudan. I mean, I went full
two of my favorite sets.
Yeah, I went full cat on this guy.
Wait, did I make this build for you?
You came in, you took over the character for a little while. 2-piece trainee, and then the front bar of Vatashran, still the back bar Master Bow. So I need to just let you get in the driver's seat behind this guy, just see what you could do with him.
I feel like I'll feel right at home.
But you've always made a great point. Chudan on a Warden always feels great. They've got so much stuff that they're trying to keep going.
And I feel like the Warden armor buff to me is like a dead skill slot. It's like such a boring, it doesn't do anything other than just give me that armor buff. There's nothing else special about it, so like I just don't want it.
And it's nice that his rotation got a little bit easier. Heartland, he's obviously the front, the Vatashram bow is sharpened, so once again going into that penetration, the point blank snipe hitting a little harder. But yeah, I mean, this has definitely been an upgrade. I've been on, like I said, I've been on Lord of Nords a lot, so I need to play this one a little bit more to get full testing, but it's definitely worked. Don't worry, Heartland, I crafted it heavy. Still a heavy bow build. I know everybody was worried there for a minute.
The legend of the heavy bow brawler continues.
But he's hitting a little bit harder. Kind of like what you said. The bow builds right now, I agree with you. It's a little tough. It's a little tougher to land things, and he does burn through stamina a lot. Obviously, snipe's blockable, and, I've got the back bar master bow, so my poison ejection has to land as well.
Yeah.
And it's tough, it's outside of sub-assault, it's such a single target focused build, and you burn so much resources kind of going all in on somebody that if they do get away and you kind of have to reset to go to the next person, it's tough. It's tough to kind of reset if they do actually get away before you get the kill.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that. It's very, sub-assault's nice, but a lot of the build's single target focus. So when you're in a battleground run around and everything's going, it takes. I'm still taking a little get used to kind of get that refocus on if somebody, you do have to switch targets or things like that. I might have to put this build on the shelf if this new bomb set becomes pretty popular, man.
This the Plague Break.
The Plague Break. If that becomes a popular battleground set, I can't imagine me playing.
What are Wardens gonna do other than just not use the netch?
I can't play a Warden that's not using a netch. That doesn't work for me.
If you're a Warden not using a netch, are you really a Warden?
Are you still a Warden? So I'm really interested to see. I'm with you. I do think that set is going to become pretty popular pretty quickly.
It will. And people in guild chat are already saying "Oh, I'm farming that set."
I just can't imagine playing Bear Claw a whole lot if that's going to be the case. I don't want to be the one in there bombing my whole team over and over.
Yeah, I mean, in the sweaty matches, like if you're in like a pre-made like 4v4v4 situation, absolutely that set's going to be present. There's no way it's not going to be there.
It has to be, right?
And you can't not cleanse yourself, because your netch is just always going to be doing it. And not using the netch, man, that's giving up so much. That's like the quintessential Warden ability. It's like netch, sub-assault. Those are the two Warden abilities, Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of great abilities, but you're gonna have those two slotted at least.
You always have those two slotted. So.
I mean, it's just so nice. That's your damage buff, so you don't have to use potions. You don't have to use rally if you don't want to. It gives you that cleanse. It's an animal companion, so it activates all these passives. It's your primary sustain tool. Every class has a primary sustain tool. That's theirs. The Templar has their rune. Nightblades have siphoning attacks. Like every class has their thing. For the Warden, it's the netch. You're going to ask them to just give that up.
The only Wardens that I think will get through it is two-handed Stam Wardens that I'm sure they're out there. They use rally instead of the netch, but I don't know. I just can't imagine playing Warden without the netch. That's tough for me.
That'll be interesting. It'll be extra challenging on my Mag Warden, Lola, my healer. She's mostly a healer, but she has offensive capabilities as well. But anyway, her setup for a while has been 5 pieces Gossamer, 5 pieces Curse Eater on the back bar, Master Fire Staff on the front, and 2 pieces Mighty Chudan. I really, really like this setup. Like, it's been locked in for a long time, and I would love to continue using it, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to get rid of that Curse Eater set, where I'm just automatically cleansing my teammates all the time. I can't be doing that if that Plague Break set's around. So I'm trying to think what I want to replace that with, and I'm not really sure. The only thing that's coming to mind is Heaty's Hearth, because that used to be her back bar set, and I still have it. And it's still good. It's not. It was nerfed a little bit whenever the proc scaling stuff happened, but it's still a good set. But anyway, we've been playing. I've been playing with her quite a bit as well. Well, I don't know quite a bit, but some. And she's still an excellent healer. I would definitely, until this set becomes available, I would definitely recommend that Gossamer Curse Eater setup. And Curse Eater is a perfect back bar set because. My back bar is my healing bar. Curse Eater procs off of direct heals. I'm only capable of doing direct heals on my back bar. So no sense in having it on the front bar. And that Master Fire Staff is just too perfect when I do want to flip on the offense. I can cast a Sub-Assault. hit them with Flame Clinch to stun them, which activates the Master Fire Staff, and then spam my Spammable until Sub-Assault hits them. And it's actually a pretty spicy little combo that I think a lot of people aren't expecting it from the healer.
Yeah. Lola's great. She makes, anytime she pairs up with Lord of Nords, it always makes him look much better than he actually is. I always like that combo because Lord of Nords is one of those characters that of course he's got leap. I leap into bad situations, so I feel like you just have to play him a little bit dumb, but Lola makes up for usually the bad situations I get to see.
She's great for that. Now, Gossamer, she's definitely going to keep Gossamer. I think Gossamer's gaining even more value with Plague Break and whatever the Magicka one. There's a Magicka like group wiping set that's coming out too.
Some sort of vortex or maelstrom that like brings people in, right?
Yeah. Yes. That'll probably be out there. There's always going to be Azure Blight, and we had a whole discussion about basically everything that kills you is AoE. Yeah. And Gossamer gives you major evasion, which reduces AoE damage by 20%. I would say best in slot healing set, period, for Battlegrounds at least, where you're all often in tight cramped spaces with a ton of AoE going around. If you can just give everyone major evasion permanently, just basically taking 20% less damage from the most dangerous attacks being thrown around. Very, very valuable.
Yeah, works really well.
But get rid of Curse Eater. I guess Heaty's Hearth. Maybe someone else has some suggestions. scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. What should my back bar only healing set be for my Magicka Warden? Make my builds for me, please. PTS. There's nothing to talk about on PTS. Moving on. This is the final week of PTS right now. So last week was week 4. This is week 5. I'm pretty sure there will be a dead week next week where nothing at all happens, and then on PC we'll get the patch the week after that.
Then we're going live.
Doing it live. It's just a bunch of tweaks to the new dungeons and stuff like that, like minor, maybe some bug fixes here and there. Nothing juicy whatsoever. Would you agree?
Well, we did talk about in the Discord. We do have the rogue and his rice fixed.
That
was the fix to the unpleasant rice looting experience. That's pretty big league. That's
Okay.
going to change. That's going to change players' lives.
Finally. I've been reading the forum threads about that one. They get pretty heated.
I'm going to go make a forum thread about it. I just want to see how many people I can call just to chat about this one.
So yeah, basically ever since week 3, even week 3 was fairly dull, I think.
Yeah, overall it's been kind of a light, I don't want to say a light PTS because obviously we had big changes, but from week to week, once they announce those changes, it's been pretty minimal.
Yeah. So that's fine. It just kind of, what it tells me is like they had a game plan going into it. They just executed it, and they're doing, everything's going according to plan. I take it as a good sign. So that's PTS. Something I've been wanting to talk about for a little while. I've been saving it for the right time, and I think today's the day. Let's talk about our favorite places in Tamriel. This could be cities, zones, or really wherever, but I kind of think of it in terms of cities and zones. So that's what we're going to do. What do you think?
I am all for this.
I can make a prediction.
You don't know. You don't know.
Where Davius is going to land on this.
Oh.
I'll go first just to save us.
So the anticipation can build.
Okay, yeah. So I'll start with cities. Favorite cities. This is like where I want to go to get stuff done. I need to do some writs. I need to see some merchants. I need to train my horse, pick up some undaunted pledges, that sort of thing. Or maybe I just want to be in a city kind of environment, just hanging around other players, looking at everyone's cool costumes and stuff like that. Favorite cities. I think the one that I'm just kind of obligated to say first because I just am there the most is Mournhold.
That's your number one, huh? Interesting.
Well, I'm just going by like not necessarily like how I feel is my favorite, but just where I am most of the time. I just end up in Mournhold because it's a convenient place. It has everything there. Literally everything is there. You can go to the shrines, change your morphs and stuff like that. They have the crafting area is very convenient. All the guild traders are right there in the crafting area. It's a pretty good guild trader situation. Undaunted Enclave, the horse trader the horse trainer is on your way to the Undaunted Enclave. It's just a convenient place. Now, I'll concede to you, Davius, not the most aesthetically pleasing place in Tamriel.
That's an ugly town.
But hey, no, I'm not attached to the aesthetics per se, but it's a very convenient place.
Okay.
Hey, I see you there from time to time.
Well, trust me.
Can't get enough of that Stoon Shrine.
I gotta get them Stoon Shrines up in the Nordlands.
I think probably my actual favorite, like the one that I feel is my favorite, is Ral Ka in Reaper's March. And that's usually where I do go to do my writs, and it's my go-to place for guild traders every time. Great economy they have going on there. The aesthetics is really cool. It's a Khajiit little village. They have all these kind of like huts on stilts, and it's like it's a small village out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
But it's always so bustling. There's like tons of activity, tons of players there. A lot of like really high level players that have like really awesome, crazy looking mounts and stuff. And there's just a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I've got to give it to Ral Ka. That is a cool place. It's the coolest part about that city to me is that it's like it feels like the players made that town a big deal, not the developers. Like the players somehow found this place and went, we're going to make this a big bustling city. And it seems like the developers, I mean, it's a very cool looking town, but it just doesn't seem like the developers had that plan for Ral Ka. But it
does not seem like it was meant to be this mecca that it is.
It's very cool in that way.
Because it's a tiny little place. Like you can just see it all in one like frame. It's cool. Highly recommend Ral Ka if you just want a town to chill in. Honestly, sometimes I'll log in and I'm not really sure what I want to do, and I'll just port to Ral Ka and just be there while I'm thinking about, do I want to do Battlegrounds or Imperial City or whatever, or while I'm waiting in queue, I'll just chill there. Really cool place. Another city I do that with is Wayrest in Stormhaven. That's a really cool one if you want to watch a lot of duels.
Yeah,
at least on PCNA.
I dare you to go to this town and not get challenged to a duel.
I dare you to go to this town and challenge someone to a duel because they will beat you. Like everyone in there is a stone cold killer.
That's good.
I stopped, man. I used to test my builds out. I'd go all right, let's go to Wayrest and do some duels, but I lose every duel because that's all they do is just duel all day, every day. And I don't make dueling builds. I make Battlegrounds builds. Yep. So it's not really even an accurate test anyway. But I do love going there and just chilling and watching those amazing players duel each other. Belkarth Craglorn, I think, is another really good one. If you are really into endgame PvE, I think this is one of the best towns to go to player watch. Look at other people's characters and just look at all these dazzling outfits and mounts and stuff like that. This is where all the players with all the PvE achievements and everything like that, they're all there showing off all their cool stuff.
This is where players are going to flex. All right, this is the flex city, it's capital of ESF.
Yeah, it is, and I dig it. And it's also good if you're just trying to get a lot of in-game PvE stuff done. That's the place to go to try to find groups and stuff. Yeah. So I like going there just to people watch. I don't do a lot of in-game PvE these days, but sometimes I do, and sometimes I just go there, like I said, just to chill and look at all the cool high-end players showing off their cool stuff. And then we got to mention Riften and the Rift.
Yeah. Now you're getting into the North stuff. Here we go.
Riften's I think Riften gets the nerdiest town award. It's roleplay central, and I'm not saying that disparagingly in any way. I think it's cool. I don't really participate, but I do like to go to the tavern in Riften and just chill there on the front porch and watch the players. It's an interesting, fascinating thing going on there, and I really enjoy it. And for the most part, it's totally civil, totally innocent, totally cool. Everyone has really cool costumes. Yeah. But what's cool about a lot of their costumes is it's not like we were talking about in Belkarth, you see all these players with these flashy get-ups and all these particle effects and crazy things happening. But in Riften, you player watch there, they're like really nicely put together costumes that like they look like they're part of the environment. They look like they belong there. They really blend in with the NPCs and stuff like that.
Yeah, you go there and you can't tell a player from an NPC apart. It's really cool. People put a lot of time and effort into those, you can tell. A lot of detail.
Yeah, I like just sitting on that porch, put on the drunk personality on the front porch of the tavern and just sit there and look at the costumes, watch people interact. A lot of people are really funny. And I'm actually really impressed with, there's like some, weirdly some technical skill involved to a lot of it, like just being able to swap between different animations and emotes and different things like at a moment's notice and just having it ready to go at the right time and all that stuff. I'm pretty impressed with that kind of stuff sometimes. So those are my favorite cities. So I think of cities as being separate from zones. Like I go to a city if I need to get stuff done or if I just kind of want to be around other players and player watch and that sort of stuff. But if I want to just kind of go running around, like randomly killing mobs, looting chests, picking up mats and stuff like that, totally different list.
Yeah, I agree with you on. Well, to a degree, I do agree with you on that.
To a degree. So, number one, honestly, this doesn't exist in the game, but if they could just give me a random button where I could just be taken to a random zone, I would use it all the time. Like while I'm waiting in BG queues and stuff like that, I really just want to go to some zone I haven't been to in a long time and just run around and just randomly do stuff while I'm waiting.
Just a random way shrine button. You click it, takes you to a random way shrine in the game.
Yeah, I would like that.
That would be cool.
As it is, really, I just kind of manually do that. So most of the time, I'm just picking a random zone. But I do tend to go to certain zones more than others. I feel like I have some unconventional answers here. I really like Shadowfen, the Argonian zone in EP. That's one of my go-tos. I go there quite a bit just to run around. It has a really unique-looking environment, and I think it's really cool.
Very unique. It's very unique. That is, I feel like you are unique in that because I think a lot of people avoid it because it's not a easily traversed zone.
No, not exactly. And it's kind of like dreary looking. It's not like bright and pretty per se, but I just like the vibe there.
You just love Argonians.
And I do like Argonians. And Murkmire is another favorite of mine. I really like going to Murkmire. It's like just kind of Shadowfen, but with more modern kind of design stuff, you know. It's really cool, and it's unique because it has like enemy types that you don't run into all the time, and the music. I feel like it has the most unique music of any other zone. It's really almost Caribbean sounding at times. It has these like xylophones and marimbas, and it's very percussive. I really like the music in Murkmire. It's a cool place to hang out in. Southern Elsewhere, in my opinion, wins the prettiest zone award.
I do love you some Southern Elsewhere.
If you just want to see some sights and see some pretty looking landscapes, I think Southern Elsewhere is the place to go. And I go there quite a bit just for the running around. Davius, what do you got?
Before I get to my list, can I just say how surprised I am that Auradon is not on your list anywhere?
I thought about Auradon. It maybe should get an honorable mention because it is dear to my heart.
That was the OG zone for you.
It was my favorite for a long time.
I always loved the story of a fresh new Ket in the world of ESO. just didn't know mounts existed. Thought Auradon was the whole game.
I thought Auradon was the whole game.
The whole map.
I got out of Cold Harbor. I got to the starting zone, and I think I took a quest on a boat, and I just didn't even realize what happened, and it ported me to Auradon. And really early on, I got into Auradon, and before I even really looked at a map or anything. And for the longest time, I'd pull up the map and be like, "Oh, okay, that's the game map, cool." Dr. Professor said Orizon may as well be the whole game. Absolute favorite zone. Yeah, I mean, it was my place for the longest time. I seriously, Davies, you're not exaggerating. I literally thought it was the entire map when I was first getting into this game. Before I even really knew what MMOs were, and I was just questing and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this game's pretty big. And then one day I clicked the right mouse button when I was on the map, and like my mind exploded. I couldn't believe how
jaw hit the floor.
There's like 30 other zones this size. But Auradon is beautiful. Some of the music there that seems to only play there is some of my favorite music in the whole game. In fact, the ending music for this podcast is based on a theme that plays in Auradon, and it probably plays in other zones too. But I remember it from Auradon specifically.
Sure.
And like, I think the common comparison for Auradon is Somerset. Yep. You know, Somerset's kind of like Auradon on steroids, but I actually prefer the aesthetics of Auradon. It's not quite so saccharine, you know, like it's a little bit more dialed back, which I think is good. So Auradon, notable mention just because it's so pretty and such good vibes there.
Okay.
And such good memories. But I never go there anymore. That's the thing. I never go there anymore. That's why it wasn't really on my list.
Okay. It checks out.
Yeah. Anyway, what are your favorite places?
What?
Or a place?
That was so forced. Alrighty. You know, I really tried. To come up with places. You know, I really thought about it. I really did my best. And I went, you know what? Forget it. I don't need cities. Get rid of the S and the E and the I. Sorry, I had to do some spelling there in my head. I just need a city. I just need Windhelm and Eastmarch. The greatest city in the game. Just hands down. I could go on and on about this place, but you know, I've got some highlights I want to talk about. First of all, I do own the home that's in the middle of this town. It is so efficient. It works as an instant free way shrine for all my characters at any point in the game. I can travel to the home right outside. It's just a free way shrine to a city anytime I need it, which is fantastic. I use it all the time.
This is so your town. It's like if I look at my friends list, if you're not in a BG or Windhelm, then I'm like, oh, what's Davius up to?
Yeah, you'll call me out and be like, hey, whoa, what's going on? What gives? Yeah. Usually my answer is I had to visit the student shrine.
Yeah, had to go to the shrine. I just had to do this thing. I'm going right back to Eastmarch.
We're backing back up, heading back home. But it really is. It is very handy to have the town, the home right in the middle of the town. Works out really well. The writ rotation for the writs. It's fantastic. It's a great circle, complete circle from where you start the quests to where you finish the last station. It's a full circle. That circle also includes a stop at the stables right along the way.
Okay.
Very nice. The guild vendors really stepped it up over the past, I'd say, 6 months or so.
I do like the guild vendor area. It's right there by the way shrine. They're lined up all neatly.
And
they each have their little booth.
They've become really good vendors of late. It's gotten to the point now where rarely do I have to leave. I'll be honest, back in the day, not the best selection, but it's actually really stepped up to where very rarely do I actually have to leave to go make a purchase. Usually the only time I have to leave is when I'm looking for like a specific set piece. But other than that, I usually can get anything I need.
That's good.
Now we got to get into it. It's just a freaking cool looking town.
It's cool looking, and it's just all the drunk Nords singing songs. There's drunk Nords
everywhere,
arguing with each other and everything.
There's these giant,
there's like
Valhalla
random
type halls and huge.
I was
walls.
walking around at Windhelm one time, and some random Nord lady asked me to buy her a drink. She's walking. She's already drunk.
You better believe it. There's the guy, there's the NPC that says, I'll have what I'm having. Love that guy. He's great. He's always good. But here I got to dive down into this a little bit. How in the world is this not the Ebonheart capital? The leader of the Ebonheart is in this town. He's in this town. He's the Nord King. He's the leader of the Ebonheart.
Why doesn't he live in the capital?
Because he's in Windhelm. Why is Windhelm not the capital? Is the real question there. This is the only faction.
The capital goes where the guy goes.
That's right. You better believe it. So I'm starting the petition now. Windhelm for the new Ebonheart Pact capital.
All right,
we'll submit.
Type /feedback in chat.
There we go. I'll submit the ticket. I'll submit the ticket to Zos. What happened here? We got to get those shrines up there. Then I'll never have to leave again.
Is the capital Mournhold or is it Davin's Watch?
It's technically Mournhold, which
okay.
It's a little bit of a downer on the looks.
It doesn't look the best, but it's a functional place. That's the best you can say about it.
Not enough drunk Nords for me, It. Okay, that's a good point, Dr. Professor. Eldenroot is the capital of the AD and not Queen Irene's hometown. Well, you know what?
Is DC that way too, then?
Well, I think Wayrest is what's his name? That king. I think that is his hometown.
Okay, so they're the odd one out then in that case. Interesting.
But Windhelm, we got to get that to the capital. It's the great town. I talk about this all the time. You can run around the fortification, the outside wall. If you ever just need to go for a jog, run around the fortifications.
Yeah, good waiting in queue activity.
Just good. It's great stuff.
Now you're burying the lead. You're leaving out the best part. The giants that are just a stone's throw away.
I'm getting there. That's just city. Let me get on to zones. Now, surprisingly, my zone, I'm going to go with East March, and that's the only zone I'm going to mention.
Okay, interesting.
East March is the only zone. I think that's the only good zone. Lower Yorgrim is the part of the zone you were looking for, which, let's be honest, this is the best place to test out a build in the game. There's like 15 giants packed into this little area. It's right outside of Windhelm. Right outside of Windhelm. You can go to the docks just on the east side of Windhelm. You can make that jump if you're on a mount. You ride over the river. Both ways.
Every time. That's how I go there. Oh, yeah.
Can make that jump, get over, kill some giants, make the jump back to town, pick up some drinks, buy a Nord lady a drink.
Yeah. Well, she asked me that you just kept on walking.
Well, you got to be quick. There's a lot of people buying drinks around that town.
But you're right about those giants. That's a fantastic place to test some stuff out. If you just need some NPCs that can take more than a hit or two before they die, there's probably 20. Would you say giants?
And they're so close to each other. As soon as you finish one, it's 3 steps, and you can pick a fight with another one.
And they respawn really quickly. You can just kind of go in this loop, and you never have to compete for that. No one farms giants for XP or anything like that. Yep. So unless me or Davius are there, you'll probably have them all to yourself.
Yep.
And it's cool. I use it a lot. It's it's not like the one and only way you should test a build. But it's like it can give you some information that can be helpful if you're trying like this set versus this set. Like how quickly can I kill a giant versus this set? How quickly can I kill a giant? And stuff like that.
I even picked up this habit from you. It's a great just to practice your rotation. Just get familiar with the character when you're not in a battleground.
Just to get that muscle memory going. Yep. Yeah.
They live long enough where you can usually get 1 or 2 full rotations through before they die. Yep. I bet you I've killed. I'm probably closing in on 1,000 giants.
Those poor giants. And isn't the quest like? Those giants are totally innocent. Like they're just trying to make people leave them alone.
So the quest is that there's this Nord who's he's gone a little off the deep end, who is actually eating giants. He's got a little cannibalism. He's eating giants. So when the giants found out, they came and destroyed the town. And you have the choice with the quest.
Justified, I'd say.
To each their own. You have the choice to either join him in eating giants, or you can side with the giants and turn against that guy.
Okay, it depends on the character I was on.
Usually side with the giants, but, little fact. Even if you side with the giants, you can still go back and kill them. They're just yellow. They're just the yellow neutral mob, but you can still fight them and kill them. So
So you feel a little worse about it. But.
I've killed so many. It's just, it's just calloused at this point.
Yeah. That's one of my go-to spots. Honestly, that should have been on my list because I go to that little giant area a lot.
Yeah, it's just great to go kill some giants. Now, I'll mention another little gem of Eastmarch. If you go to the very southwest part of Eastmarch, there's a place called Darkwater Crossing. This is another secret gem. This is kind of Giant 2.0. So this area has like 10 to 15 trolls that all hang around right next to each other.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to change it up a little bit, you've slaughtered too many giants, you can head down to this area, fight trolls. Same thing. I go down here to kind of do some build testing, just kind of fight a little bit harder, tougher NPC. Works a lot like, Lower Yorgrim with the giants, but sometimes, people are up there actually doing the quest and are killing giants, so I'll go down here and kill some trolls.
There's a number of places that are good for build testing there. The Rageclaw world boss is really good for testing builds, like your survivability in particular.
Yep.
Because it's like it's a world boss that it deals a lot of damage and it can be somewhat challenging, but it is soloable. It's like right on that line. So I like that one a lot. Like I feel like if I can beat that world boss solo and not struggle too much trying to stay alive, then I feel pretty confident that that's it's going to have fairly decent survivability in a BG more than likely.
Good old Rageclaw.
That's a good one too.
He's like the hardest vanilla world boss.
Yeah, I would say so.
He's a
great one to test out a healer on. I really like testing healers.
Oh yeah, him. Yep. Look who's a little bit of an Eastmarch fan.
Hey, I never said I didn't like Eastmarch. You're always the one talking crap about my towns.
I just want you to say Eastmarch is your favorite. Eastmarch, it's such a great zone. It's got a lot of, good place to farm resource nodes. You got the giants, you got the trolls, Windhelm, Draknords are everywhere. It's a good time. It's a good time. The only other place I will mention is the Rift. We're still in Nord territory here.
It borders Eastmarch, so you're not
just south.
That's where you go for your vacation.
That's where
every time.
I vacation in Riften. It is a cool zone. I don't roam around in that zone as much as I do in Eastmarch, just because, like you said, I've become so familiar with certain, the giants or certain parts of Eastmarch that I like those areas better. But Riften is a really cool town. And just for the game, kind of like we were saying about Ralcaw, I feel like the players kind of change the aspect of that town. I think it is meant to be kind of one of the bigger towns, but how the players have kind of turned it into this very RP town, and they all kind of congregate there, and they've all got the costumes, they all do their thing. I just think it's cool that it's kind of become this specific town.
Well, it was in Skyrim, right? Wasn't Riften in Skyrim?
Windhelm was too, though.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I forget about that.
You know what? I send you these books to study about the Nord and Skyrim history, and I just feel like you just never read them. I feel...
I get all of my Nord culturing from Rigert, okay?
He's a hero. That man's a hero.
Doing Stoon's work.
That's
what
right.
He's doing.
There you go. Well, Rigert the Brash.
Cool. Well, yeah, so those are our favorite places in Tamriel. If you want to tell us your favorite places in Tamriel, you can email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you have anything else you want to ask us or tell us or suggest to us or anything like that, scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Shout outs. We'll shout out to Grizzly Khan and Dr. Professor for once again joining us in the chat as we record this live. If you'd like to get in on that, again, email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. We'll invite you to the Discord. Even if you're not interested in joining us for the recording, the Discord is just a cool server to hang out on. We're always talking about build ideas. Anytime there's patch notes, we usually talk about the juicy stuff on there quite a bit before we even get to the podcast. So it's a cool thing. Scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. We have a guild on PCNA. Now, don't go out of your way or anything, but it's called Stoon's Goons. Here's what I'll say. Okay. Here's the for real pitch.
All right, here's the pitch. This is not approved, by the way, from the Students Guild.
This has not been screened.
This has not been screened for pre-approval.
If you're new to the server, PCNA, and you just want to guild with some people, just to be in a group with some people, Students Goons, bring it on. We'll bring you aboard. I bet you only get 5 guild slots. You play this game long enough. There's only 5 guild slots. That's what I'm saying.
That's a lot of slots. We're talking about 5 whole slots. Who needs that 4th or 5th slot? You get your trading guild, get your big time guild, maybe your PvP guild, your PvE guild. That leaves 4 and 5 wide open for, that's right, the Students Guilds.
We got a guild hall. It's a Future X guild. Yeah. Perfect. Dr. Professor, thank you.
You've turned Dr. Professor. Oh, no.
But the action's really in the Discord. I think of anyone that's in the Discord, I really think of them as a goon. The guild is cool. It's a cool name, and it's a cool meme, and you can be a part of it if you want. scrollingpodcast@gmail.com. We
do some goon nights every now and then still. We got to get a little bit better here lately, but we'll have some goon nights where we'll all go and, do Imperial City or BGs or...
We do, but as we said before, it's not like we go consult the guild roster to confirm that everyone in group is in the guild.
Just one time. Just let me say one good thing about Students Guilds. Just one time. Let me say. Let me give them one compliment. Gosh darn it.
I think the only reason that the guild still exists is because we just like the name. We like saying the name so much. Students Goons.
And our official guild GIF.
Oh yeah, the Ric Flair GIF.
The Ric Flair official Students Goons.
Scrollingpodcast@gmail.com if you want me to send you the official Ric Flair Students Goons GIF. I promise it's not a virus. Okay. Let's see. So probably the next time we talk, it'll be the week of the live patch, right? Yeah. Next week will be a dead week, and then the patch on PCNA on PC goes live after that. So that's what you can look forward to next time. Our impressions of I don't even know. We probably won't even have done the dungeons by then.
What
so
is
maybe
it?
We'll get a hold
Flames? No.
Waking Flame.
God, gets me every time. I want it to be Walking Flames for some reason, but it's Waking.
So, I don't know. Maybe we can get a normal dungeon run or two in before we record, and that way we'll have something to talk about.
A little Students Goons run.
Okay, yeah. You have to be a member of the guild or you're not invited.
You can't come.
Okay, we're going to call it right there. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.